Well, this is Dan McCormick. Here we go, guys. This is going to be unbelievable. Let's get these comments going. Let's warm up this algorithm. One of the things I'll invite you to do right at the outset today, go ahead and hit hashtag for all the friends, the family, the loved ones you want to be able to hear this broadcast today. It's week number 3. It's February 15th, 2025. My name is Dan McCormick, if we have not met. And there we go. We always love to make sure the algorithm is working. Boom, Michelle, you light up the airwaves. Let's just double check one other link to make sure that it is live. I got my son-in-law was on just a few weeks ago, and just making sure we are live. Good to see it. And let's keep it going here. PJ, it's great to have you here from Connecticut. We generally get people over the course of a week to watch and listen from about 15 countries around the world. So we're excited that all of you could be jumping in this morning and welcome you to this event today. Shar, it's great to have you here. And yes, hello, and hello. Lots of great stuff. This has been an incredible journey for me. And for those of you that know me, you know I've been in the industry now for the better part of 42 years, direct selling, network marketing, mission-driven entrepreneur. There's a lot of cycles that go on in the world of that time. I would say for the better part of 35 of the 42 years, you're just looking for the right flow triggers for momentum. Only about 7 easy years for me, I would say. How about this? Gary DeRitter. Look at this comment right here, Ryan. Let's go right at the top. 2 handsome guys, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go. We know we're getting the man love right there. But it's really an interesting thing as I welcome the CEO of Nu Skin. He's been with Nu Skin for 30 plus years. No one knows this company, the international geography, the layout, the dynamics of it more. And Ryan, I just want to welcome you to the show. We've now had well in excess of 1 million downloads on this show in our time. Amazing how many lives we've touched, people we've interviewed, authors, and from Blake Roney to now Ryan Napierski being on the show, etc. I wonder if you would agree with me that there's cycles in business, and I kind of just had this feeling that October 26th for me was kind of like the low of the cycle. I just felt the end of October, there was just this trepidation, and now I just feel like we're starting a new 5-year run here that's going to be extraordinary. Maybe take us through a little bit for those that haven't met you, that haven't been in your office. We got a lot to talk about here for the next 20 or 30 minutes, but maybe just your view of the as you had an interview broadcast that went out to the team elites a few weeks ago called what was that?
Prism.
Phrase?
Well, I'm trying to remember the name
No,
of the
it was
broadcast.
the town hall. The town hall was
hall.
So this is kind of a state of the union. Maybe just a little background on how you feel about cycles and then your 30 plus years in the industry.
Dan, well, first of all, thank you for putting good out into the world. I mean, you are just the master of goodness, and just to thank you for being the person that you are. You and I did a podcast that's going to roll here in the next month. We're trimming it. It was amazing, Dan. I am, brother. I start that every morning now with my I am affirmations. That's it. I 100% agree with you. I've been with this company for 31 years. I started when Blake Roney was our CEO and founder and CEO. Steve Lund took it over I call that era 1.0. Steve took it over in 2.0. Truman took it over in 3.0. Rich and I have been kind of sharing 4.0. I've been in the CEO spot now for just over 3 years. And to your point, Dan, about every 10 years, there's got to be a natural law of business that opportunity swells about every 10 years. You know it because you've been in 2 of them. You've created 2 of them. The first one with Pharmanex and our biophotonic scanner movement that you and Gary and a whole bunch of people, I hate to always start mentioning Paige and others, have just been amazing to create that wave that we all globally benefited from. And then we had AgeLock come in and that wave was going. But to your point, over the last 4 or 5 years post-COVID, and I will say COVID was a marker in time that I think for every business, I don't care what kind of business you are, your technology, your consumer goods, your auto sales, it just changed the world. It changed human behavior for a period of time. And by the way, I think the world is tilting back towards human to human. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I feel you, man. The last few years, I got down last year's, 3 years of kind of difficult as the post-COVID hyperinflation came on, China pressures came on, Korea economy. I mean, they go into martial law in Korea for crying out
Wow.
last
Wow.
year. We haven't seen that in decades. Just craziness around the globe. And I got myself and my mind into a fairly negative cycle. And I realized in talking with people like you, I mean, there were several conversations I had last year that started to change the tide of my mind, telling me that my mind was defining what is happening around me because it's how I see the world. And it's really been through the course of several of these conversations of realizing that this is just life. And every one of these momentum waves and curves create every problem creates an equal or greater opportunity. We've
Yes.
had so many problems the last 3 or 4 years, full of opportunities, but something shifted. My own energy, your energy, I think the cosmos, the world's just on an optimistic view. I mean, I think and I'm not getting into politics at all here. I just think we can either look at the world as this big, or we can look at the world as everything beyond and the universe, and that's how I'm choosing to look at it. And you know what? It's starting to shape up that way. I mean, we did that podcast or together. We did that town hall with Team Elites around Prism and some of the new technologies coming out. We're about to do, in fact, I had a call yesterday, a global call with a few leaders from around the world. And I said, listen, if you're ready to run the next 10 years, you will create a lifetime of opportunity and value for your families. And I really do believe that right now.
Well, I actually shared with you that my son-in-law came aboard, had him on the show here just a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago. I think he's close to 50 customers now, starting to sponsor
crazy.
people. Never been in the industry before, but that town hall meeting was really centered around color, right? It was really centered
Yep,
around Prism. It was really
present.
centered around, one of the things that I think is fascinating about that call is how I felt like during the social media era, and that's not going away, by the way. We
No.
know that that's a huge, huge opportunity. And talk about a windfall of good fortune for so many. But what shifted for me was the paradigm of, call it 23 years ago when we started. I felt like every man, woman, and child, any age, we could show them how they could set up their futures. I feel like that's now my opportunity again. I don't feel like I need to look for an influencer on social media,
Hmm.
an age group. I mean, I know you have statistics and data.
Sure.
What is it? 24 to 40-ish is the average time for all future team elites to join the company, if I recall.
Yep. Yeah, I think when we go around the globe, the average team elite joined between 25 and 35 years. And then we have outliers like any distribution curve of people that have joined and become team elite at 62 years old, joined at 62,
Wow.
became team elite at 68. We have one that I worked with in Japan. I was in Japan for 10 years. Dan, we had one that came in, she was 72 years old. 72 years old, and I met her at a Team Elite trip, and she was 77. She had become Team Elite at 72. It's not that it's not possible, it's that people simply, by 72, most of us stop running marathons. A few of us still do it. Those few make Team Elite.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We're
Yeah,
story junkies, aren't we? I mean,
yeah,
we just
yeah,
love
for
the
sure,
story, right?
for
So
sure.
let's talk about the story, because a lot of
Okay.
people today, I know that for me, that first trip to the University of Utah, seeing this thing in a casket, right? This thing, all this hugeness that you guys put a video out on, if I recall, and you show the history and the progression. And I always maintained that the science was so good, the opportunity was so cool, but we couldn't get it to take from the lab to the
Hmm.
portability, to your point. And so I
Yeah,
have everybody going out and buying hockey pucks, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
everywhere I go, I just simply say, can you imagine now that you can put your finger right there, 273,000 light emissions, and we see a score in 15 seconds on your phone. So
yeah,
talk about your own kind of aha moment when
yeah,
maybe Steve or Joe brought this idea to you and said, whoa, we can actually
yeah,
do this and
yeah,
take the number one selling product in the world and make it
yeah,
available to everybody, every yoga class. I'm on a plane, I'm in
yeah,
a Starbucks, no matter where I'm at now, put your finger right here, we can
yeah.
measure your health.
Well, listen, persistence is the mother of all. because I'll tell you the story about this, Dan. But and you all know, and those of you that have been involved in New Skin Enterprises for years and years know that New Skin is the antioxidant leader. There is no other company on the planet that has the mounds and mounds. There you go, G3 of science, clinical research, substantiation, products. Um, that New Skin has over literally 35 years with the invention of VitaLife and VitaPack and LifePack, all the way through the journey 2004, as you said. The science, Nathan comes walking in with some crazy plan and science out of the University of Utah, top medical and engineering school in the country, says you got to come take a look at it. I was too junior in the company, but I will tell you, Dan, there have been two times in 31 years because I get to watch the beauty of this business and the churn of this business, right?
Yeah,
I
which
get
is
to
a heavy
watch
toll.
how difficult this business is, but I get to, with the 1,200 or so blue diamonds around the globe, I see the persistence and what it takes. And I know it's a tough business, but there had only been two times in the business, Dan, that I thought I completely signed the wrong agreement. I should have been signing a 1099 and I signed a W-2. The first time, and I'll tell you that, Dan, the first time was when I was sitting in my first convention listening to Blake talk about the values of this company, talking about never recruit dishonest, unethical people, and then seeing Nathan Ricks, Craig Tillotson, Bryce, and Clara walk across stage and seeing the recognition. And I thought, oh my gosh, Scott Schwartz brought me into the business. I signed the wrong agreement. The second time, and I guess I'm getting to my third time now, was when I first heard Nathan pitch the biophotonic scanner.
Yeah.
And I realized that we had these unbelievable supplements that I had been using by that point in my life for 9 years. And we had an ability to measure whether or not supplements actually worked. But as you said, he wheels it in. There's no way, there's no portability on this. But I said, hey, let's go for it. I was a youngster. I was just heading out to Europe at the time to run our Europe business. And I said, let's see what this thing does. And you guys built it from that machine, smaller, smaller, but down to wheeling those. You remember those, Dan, those Pharmanex bags,
Oh
the
yeah.
OGO bags with the scanners, wheeling them all over Europe. I see you guys flying in. In fact, you and I had a whole discussion on yoga the first time I met you, and you're wheeling your Pharmanex bag through, I don't know, it was Amsterdam or somewhere. You're taking over the world. And I watched you and I watched thousands of our leaders around the globe. And I then moved to Japan and I saw the amazing impact. But there was always one limitation, which was the technology was not what I call duplicatable. And I was on a call the other day, innovate to duplicate. That was the term that
Yes.
came out, is innovate to duplicate. And
We're
that's
gonna we're
exactly
gonna
what I
have everybody
saw.
write that in chat just so we can pause for a second. If you've joined us late, he's Ryan Napierski, the CEO of New Skin. I'm Dan McCormick, the host of Mastermind Training Circle. Everyone, write that in chat right now. Let's see if we can bust the chat window right open, break the records. We'll get over 1,000 comments on a big show. Let's go, everyone, right now. Even if you're hashtag replay later, even if you hashtag and share this into your messenger, your team pages, no matter where you, if you like the show, share the show. And so we're going to get this written down. We're going to put this up on the screen. Innovate to duplicate, right?
Innovate to duplicate. That's
Oh, how
exactly
about
what.
innovate to motivate? I like that one,
And
Don. That's a good
innovate to
one.
motivate. Hey, you guys are the geniuses. You'll come
Yeah.
up with all of it. But that innovate to duplicate idea was exactly what I saw as the limitation of the biophotonic scanner. Number one, the thing costs a couple $1,000 cost of goods to
Right.
make. Number two, it was based on technology that the photo tubes, and I'm not the scientist or the engineer, but we're talking hundreds of dollars for this science in one photo tube. And the latest version of this S3 requires four of them. And then you've got the digital, you've got all of this experience. And so, anyways, fast forward to 2019, Steve Hatchett comes on. He takes over as global chief product officer, working hand in hand with Dr. Joe Chang as our chief science officer. And Steve walks in, he says, Ryan, I've been out watching New Skin for 30 years. For 20 years, I've seen this science. And he said, speaking of the scanner, he said, Ryan, we have got to reinvent this technology. We cannot let this die. It is too unique, but we're running out of parts. Literally, the parts that were required. And I said, Steve, I said, I have seen people try to duplicate with this tool, but because it's so expensive to make and to gather the parts, we can't duplicate it. It can't get where it needs to be. So I just I didn't dismiss him, but I said, Steve, come back and talk to me when you can get that technology in everyone's pocket. And that was my last statement, like literally 2019. So lo and behold, 3 years later, Steve comes back. Well, maybe I'm 2021 by this point. COVID. I have COVID fog, but
Yeah.
call it about 2 years ago. Steve comes walking into my office and he pulls out of it. He says, Ryan, I did it. We did it. We did it. Steve never says I. He says, we did it.
Yeah.
We build this, and he pulls this puck out of his pocket, and it's exactly that. It's a puck. It has a little window, and it's got this light going back and forth, right? The scanner light. And it looked like a toy. I said, Steve, I want to see if this works. He said, put your finger on it. 15 seconds later, it read my score. I haven't been scored or scanned in about a year. It read my score within 1,000 points of my current score. And, scores go up and down. And I said, how did you do this? So he sits me down and he says, Ryan, we have been working with Dr. Burgesson and BYU to take 26 million scans over 20 years, over 15 million people scanned. We've taken this data. We've been utilizing a new technology, light spectral technology, that will read, to your point, over 200,000 scans in 15 seconds. And we have gotten the standard deviation within X% of the current. Since that time, by the way, they've dialed it even more. And he said, and Ryan, we got it to a point where every person on the planet can afford this technology.
Wow.
And it literally blew my mind. So the next challenge was, I said, Steve, you got to be able to manufacture tens of thousands of these. So don't come back to me till you have 10,000, the ability to manufacture tens of thousands a month of these. So again, fast forward to this past summer, he comes walking into my office and he says, Ryan, we've got our manufacturers going. We've done all this. And by the way, Dan, what was cool about this, I asked him, I said, Steve, the last biophotonic scanner, it cost almost $10 million to develop. I have not seen a PO come across my desk except for $13,000. I said, have you been paying out of pocket for this thing? He had reworked every single, from the electrical engineering, the science, the spectral lighting, the manufacturing. Every one of our partners engaged in this is all in. They have put their own skin in the game to build this out. And this thing coming to market, it will be done for less than $2 million out of pocket.
Wow.
But because every partner has put skin in the game, they are in because they see what's going on. So that's where we're at right now. And I just think this thing is going to roll. We're, like we said, we announced it on the Team Elite call. We're able to get a few hundred to our top producers at the end of this third quarter, around September. Globally, I'm speaking, we're going to get a few thousand by the end of December this year. And then we're building to a global launch in the first half of 26. This is going to go around the world. And this is the time.
This is exciting. I mean, you can just see Stephen Moore putting obviously things in the screen right here. I'll put that back up about, award the most innovative company. So innovate to duplicate feels like it's right on, right? Brenda, obviously talking about how incredible the story is. I love seeing your enthusiasm for this because, as you talked about, you go through these cycles and you look at, the world can beat you down when you're looking at, okay, what did this country just do to compensation plans and what we can say? And what did this country just do to say that ingredient that grows on a tree, they don't allow us to sell it in this country? Right. I mean, there's some of the weirdest things in the world that we see. Yeah. But what's so exciting about this is it gives me the feeling that we are going to usher in, and I maintain that every time a network marketing company sees a new generation, a next wave, there's new number one distributors in the world. I believe perhaps the biggest distributor that's ever been sponsored, not in the company yet. I believe that we're going to see tens of thousands of people join the company that have never even thought about doing direct selling or network marketing, mission-driven entrepreneur, influencer type stuff. they're going to see the picture because it's
That's right.
portable. And like you said, it's the difference demonstrated in just a matter of seconds, right? So
Yep.
it's an exciting time. And so the whole building's feeling it. The country's starting to feel it. The globe is feeling it. And so it's just awesome to have you on here today. And maybe give us any other thoughts that you might think of, because, one of the common things that people talk about when it comes to the science, and one of the little nuggets that you guys have dropped, whether it's Joe Chang or Steve or you or whoever, is there's going to be a time in the future when you can put your finger on there. And because we have ML and data mine, all the machine learning stuff, that we're going to be able to go beyond just carotenoids.
Yeah, no, and this is the beauty of utilizing the reflectance technology that they've with using light spectroscopy. I'm not a scientist, because to your point, Dan, we're starting to. So we're importing all of this data, and by the way, not just data from the biophotonic scanner, Dan. We have over 25 million data insights coming in from the LumaSpa IO and
Yeah.
from Renew Spa IO. This is
Wow.
going into a total input-output database. And then with our partners at Full Power, who run, by the way, some of the biggest AI-driven algorithms in the world, some of the biggest brands that that you sleep on, where are powered by these guys. I had a call with them last weekend. They're assembling this data, and then every scan that comes in, they're correlating it across other dimensions of the nutritional world. And when I say nutrition, Dan, that's the other thing I want to be clear about here. If it is made up of a cell in your body, it is impacted by oxidative stress. So I've always looked at the scanner as what's telling me what's going on inside my body. That's not complete.
Hmm.
It is going the color of your hair, your skin, the wrinkles, the lines, the muscles that are tissue, weight management, metabolism. Every aspect of the human body is made of cells, and
Yeah.
every aspect of the body is being impacted by the toxins in the world, right? And by the way, one of the greatest toxin producers in our body is actually our own metabolism, right? The mitochondria in our cells. And so the reparative process that's needed. And so we're now starting to call it the antioxidant rainbow. It doesn't matter what your body is experiencing, or if you're trying to improve wrinkles on your face, lines on your face, it will be improved with antioxidants. And so this is why the collagen products, the G3, we're going way beyond just ingestibles here. We even have correlation studies between LumaSpa IO and collagen, as you know,
Wow.
because it's all affecting the same thing. So to bring the holistic wellness um, market together and be able to measure the source of it, which is antioxidants, is great. But to your point, the way the patents are actually filed on this is around what are called analytes. This is any micronutrient that the
Wow.
body ingests is what we've patented. And this is
Wow.
really important because you have big players. Samsung just announced 2 weeks ago. There are big players that know this. But to have a 20+ year head start in the scanning technology, a 30+ head start in the actual products that improve it. I mean, the value's not in the puck. That's just the thermometer, right?
Right.
The value is the solutioning that we're the only ones that have both. Nobody else has the solutions with the thermometer. I mean, it's the turkey and I mean, I don't know what the right example is here, but it's just the possibilities are endless. And then the last thing I'll say about it, Dan, is we're already working on Gens 2, Gen 3s. I mean, we're going to be wearing them, ringing them. There's all kinds of opportunities. I think this is just the start of it.
Wow. And what's exciting about it is that even though these first couple hundred won't come out till the end of the Q3, end of the year, whatever, it's like, here's my son-in-law who starts, and he starts because of a personal need, as he explained on the show a couple weeks ago. But the reality is business opportunity is here right now. It
That's
doesn't
it.
have to wait.
That's it.
People can qualify now, sell now, recruit now, bring people to the campus now. It's a now business.
Yeah. Dan, I mean, honestly, I just use this example. Maybe I'll post it at some point to you. You can send it along. But I likened it to surfing, which is it's a passion of mine. There's a book called Barbarian Surf, And in that, the author, he grew up surfing. He says, if you don't learn to surf by the time you're 13, you're going to spend the rest of your life learning to catch a wave. So Dan, I thought about this, and this is exactly true. When you're surfing, any of those of you that have surfed, right? And the wave analogy I know has been overutilized, but I got to get really tactical here. Because what happens when you surf, you sit on that board facing out to the water and you watch the swell coming in and you watch the color of the wave at the center of the wave, in the middle of that wave. And when the
Interesting.
color of the wave is dark enough, what that means is there's enough momentum that it can carry a body with it. So as soon as you see a wave that's dark enough in the center and has that right slope, you turn your board and you lay down on that board. And Dan, you start to move on that board, but you don't move too early and you don't move too late. You got to be in motion, because as soon as that wave gets about 10 yards out, not hits you, if the wave has already hit you, you've lost the wave. As when that wave is 10 yards out, you start paddling with everything you've got. And then what happens is that back of your board starts to lift. As soon as you feel the back of that board lift, you dig with everything you've got. And when you think you've caught the wave, you dig 3 more times with everything you got. I do 2 arms because you can't catch it. And when you, as soon as that happens, you are on that bottom slope of the wave, and it carries you. And again, 10 seconds of work gives you a minute of the most beautiful ride you'll ever have. If you wait until that wave hits your board, your body is not in motion. You're not in momentum. There is no way you're going to accelerate fast enough to catch the wave. So what does that apply this? We're launching this in 2026, launching globally. This is 10 yards out. This
Yeah.
is 10 yards out. The beauty of this one though, Dan, is we already have S3s. Get your S3, get scanned. We already have a supplement stack between LifePack, G3, Nano, Youth,
Meta.
Collagen Plus, Meta. We can keep going down the list. Loomis Bio. I mean, there's all kinds of. Get
Right.
your supplement stack going. Get scanned. Get your supplement stack, because that is the 10 yards out. Start building now so that your organization, your team is ready to go. But those who wait until the wave hits, until 2026, I'm sorry, the momentum is already going to be past you. It will. And so we got the tools, we got the S3. Dan, something I'm going to be talking about with you, with Gary, with Steven is, and I threw it out on a call yesterday. I want to start a global tool in April, but we're going to be 5 cities. We're going to grow it to 10. We're going to go back
Love
to
it.
that, Dan.
Love it.
We're going to be willing scanners, but to get every person scanned on an S3 so they know their baseline, get them on their supplement stack so that when this puck comes out, your team is ready to go. You guys have been primed.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Well, it's an exciting thing. And I mean, we've gone through different waves and everybody's excited for the surf. Everybody wants to be 10 yards out. Everybody wants to be paddling. Walter wants to hit the rocket launch pad. There's a lot of things here. And I know that your time is really valuable and you're on the road and doing things with the family here today, but this is super kind of you to take the time. I know you just did your earnings call with the Wall Street folks the other day, but this is the team of people right here.
Yep.
This is the people that make things, there's a book that
Absolutely.
you and I are both familiar with, and that is 10X is easier than 2X.
2X. Yeah.
And what's amazing is I feel like the industry has always been in 2X mode for years and years, other than the COVID window when everybody had to go to Facebook. And now I think you've got a tool, and a tool that corresponds with the mind. And we know that, you've heard me say it, no margin, no mission. People see the mission and they can feel that the margin's going to be unbelievable. So what a great opportunity.
Scan the world. No, and Dan, to your point, the people on this call are the people that will make that 10X. I firmly believe it. You talked about social media, Dan. What we've learned is social media is a medium, right?
Yes.
Social media is not an opportunity. Social media is a medium. And imagine what we're going to do with the extensivity of social media and Prism. I mean, it's the combo of everyone on this call. I'm just so excited. So, anyways, thanks for having me on, Dan. I'd love to come back anytime.
Let's do it.
But this is rolling real time. So
Let's go. Let's go.
let's
Well,
go.
we'll look forward to seeing you on the great innovative campus of Provo, Utah, and around the meetings and the Zooms and the more of the all of the meetings that are going to be going on. The innovation is going to be extraordinary. Innovate to duplicate, everybody. If you haven't typed that in yet, we want 100% participation. Every single person, write it, feel it, just like you feel the coin that I have. You want to, feeling is the secret, as Neville Goddard said, right? And everybody's going to give you 7s in the screen, Ryan, for making time. We always do 7s because it's perfect. Everyone's going to put 7s in the screen right now, thanking you for your time, your clarity, because I think it's one thing for them to hear it from me or my son-in-law or Scott Bennett or whoever, but it's another to hear it from your voice, your vision, your enthusiasm, the 9th floor, the journey, and we're just going to close with 7s. God bless you, everybody. We'll be back next week. Now, let's remember, next Saturday, generally speaking, it's always called The Secret. Why? Because that was the first book I ever read, right? That we know that the greatest secret in the world by Og Mandino was my first book. Go out there, put it in your calendar right now. Make sure your phone is logged in and organized for 8 a.m. next Saturday morning. We'll be back for the 4th Saturday of the month of February. God bless you. Thank you, Ryan. Have the best day of your life, and see you next week, everybody.
Thank you, guys.